My name is Randal Ward, and I'm the Sheriff of Hickman County. I've been Sheriff of Hickman County 16 years as of right now. I've served as a law enforcement officer for 39 years in different capacities. I've went up through the ranks of law enforcement all the way up to the captain over patrol and served as the assistant chief. My education, I have a degree in criminal justice. I also have been to the Sheriff's Academy, Tennessee Law Enforcement Academy, various types of schools. Went to the FBI school for training, received awards, won for a life-saving award back years ago for saving a lady's life during suicide. Officer of the Year back in the 90s. I've been in every sorts of situations as an officer. I've served as an officer, have never had any troubles as far as investigations on myself or anything. I've always kept the high standards of myself. And as sheriff, I've been keeping myself and the department as high standards for the county of Hickman. I'm married with 2 children, which both of them owns their own business. Both of them are married. They live out of the county. I married Deborah Springer from Coble. We've been happily married for 39 years. Proud to say that. We attend the Clearview Church of Christ and have been a member of Church of Christ for many years. We have been, it's been a law enforcement family. It takes a lot to have a family that not only you go through a lot as officer, your family goes with it too, and have always worked very well, my family has, with my schedule that I have. A sheriff is something that you dream of as far as what his job consists of. But the sheriff has a lot of duties and wears many hats that's out here. You're responsible practically for the whole county when you get down to it. As sheriff, you're responsible for the court systems and the security of the court systems. You're responsible for the jail. You're responsible for the county itself as far as crime. You're responsible for all civil and criminal papers that are being served. So you have a lot of jobs being as a sheriff. In a rural area, it's much different than being a sheriff in a large county or in a large state. You have to be very ingenious about things as far as in a rural setting in the county and all. But in all, everybody is a sheriff that in 95 counties has a sheriff and all. I belong to the Sheriff's Association. I also belong to the 21st Judicial Task Force on their committee. I'm on the Committee of Animal Control that we're trying to get started up in this county. I've been working on that at least for 13 years of animal control. We have accomplished a lot in this county. I was one that got started with animal control that many years ago, and also on the project of the new jail, which was built in 2007. My department has progressed greatly, if you could have seen it when I came in back in 2002 to compare it to now. But at the same time, you've got to understand our tax rate and everything in this county, it takes money to operate a department, a lot of money. My years in law enforcement, I have more years than anyone else. Now, I know that doesn't make it 100%, but I've had a lot of experience in running departments where the others haven't. I helped run the department in Williams County, Fairview, along with the chief, doing budgets, building a new police department. I've been to various schools on budgeting and on the budgets of a county. I've had a lot of education as far as in my college and working with budgets and all. A budget is very hard to do in a county that has the tax rate. That's the only thing that's supported by the landowners and all. That's the only thing that we have that's in this county. So you have to work with what you have as a sheriff and blessed with it also. So working in a rural county and everything does have its ups and downs, and I've been there and done that with a lot of it. Back in 2003, I sued as far as for more manpower of this county. We only had at that time probably about 8 or 9 officers, and now I've got about 28 officers, which they work various things like courtroom security, SRO department, detectives, working the road. So I have different divisions I've set up since I've been in office in the past 16 years. This is a large county, and we tried to do with what we have, covering 1,000 miles of road. So I know what it's like being a rural sheriff. Professionally, my achievements has been that it takes day and night working a sheriff's office. I've been there late hours till 10, 11 o'clock, working a homicide for 12, 13, 14 hours. But you know, the hours that you put in has its rewards. I've built that department from 2002 to where it's at today. Nothing's perfect. Any department's not perfect. But I feel like from where we came from in 2002 until now, that has been my biggest achievement, is my department and my officers. I care about my officers. I care about their families. I care about themselves and everything, and their safety. So that's the things that really stays on my mind a lot as far as being a sheriff. Family life, I've been proud to be a police officer and a sheriff for these many years. My family, like I said previously, they have been with me all these years. It's hard to raise children being a police officer. My daughter can tell you it's like being the daughter of a preacher in a way. Yeah. I'm strict on my family as far as when they was growing up and everything, just as much, and if not, maybe even stricter. But the whole thing of it is, it takes all of you in a family to be a police officer. It takes every one of them to understand why you're out late at night working something, or go to as many meetings I go to within a week or within a month. So the achievement of that is, my family, we are very close. We've been through a lot. We've been through where a police shooting has happened, and my whole family goes with me up to the hospital to be with that officer and his family, not just me, but the whole family. So that's my goal achievements that I've had that I'm proud of for these many years that I've been. I'm wanting to increase the department due to the fact that we are really still a little short-handed even at that. I try to be conservative with our money too. I study about it practically every day. But you know, I'm wanting to move this department on because this is one large county. This county covers close to 700 square miles. Like I said, 1,000 road miles, although it has a population of about close to 25,000 people, but it's spread out. And I'm wanting to reduce the response time to a lot of the calls that we get. We get about close to 800 to 1,000 calls per month. And so we have to cover a lot of areas, and I want to increase that much better with more manpower and better equipment for us. I'm wanting better equipment, but I have to consider, like I said, my budget, because taxpayers are the ones that's paying this, and I know they don't want to pay a lot of taxes, but we gradually try to improve it. The county, since I've been in office and really lived here all my life, has a lot of major issues. As we know, industrial has left this county in the past several years, and all there's left is a few small industrial places. But in a whole, we have a lot of issues like every other rural county does. I've talked to other sheriffs, And when you match it to other counties, we're in the same rowboat rowing at the same time. But the issue that we have here is one of them's animal control. I've been talking about this for the past, like I said, 13 years. There's a good group of people here that has been by my side those 13 years trying to help move that on. But also we have problems like our drug situation that we have here in the county, which really our ratio that we have as far as crime has went down some. And I'm very proud of that, but I want more. We do have a drug unit. Matter of fact, we probably got 2 drug units if you count the 21st Judicial Task Force that's coming in here. But I've got new things in mind that I want to bring out right after the election, that I'm going to make some rearrangements and everything to help maybe expedite the situation with the drugs here in this county. That's one of the big issues. I know as far as commerce and all that, we're working on hard trying to get companies in here. We have to sell ourselves as a county. We got to market this county and do it with unity. The East End, West End coming together to think out of the box as far as that goes. But as far as in law enforcement, as things progress, if the East End does move a city in or whatever, my department is going to work with them very well on setting that up. As far as law enforcement, we will always be there until they get something off the ground. And that goes with anything that goes on. Our department becomes involved, and I want it involved really a lot. That's why I go to a lot of the meetings and try to be there for them as much as I can. I think the root problem of it is that society has been so complicated that some people's trying to find a way out of that complication that there is. Once I get into it, and I've had it to, I've seen it and been there with it and all like that. I've been there when they've coming off of it. I've been there with them when they pass away. I've been there when everything happens to them. And I have talked with them. As a matter of fact, let me add to this. I'm trying to help right now with a committee that's set up with doing drug court. And that's another thing that we're looking into. It's in Williamson County now, and we're trying to implement it into to Hickman County using my funds as far as my drug funds to help supply that. No tax dollars, drug funds that I have. But I think it's a get away from reality. And once they get away from that reality and everything, then they're hooked. And it's very hard, depending on what it is, for them to get off of those drugs and everything. I hear a lot of them talking horror stories that they're going through, trying to get off of it and all. And it's not like trying to quit smoking or use that diet and everything, but it's the devil that's gotten a hold of them. That's the way I look at it. So I think society, like I said, has become so complicated that they're trying to find that pleasure or in and out to get out of to justify it. And so that's how it's gotten into, it's that feel-good phase they want to get through. And then before you know it, whether it's meth, which that's one of the strongest drugs, as far as that is, or some kind of pills. I've had friends that's gotten involved in it and gotten hooked, some close friends. I've had friends that have died with it and all that I've tried to help out. But I'll say this, families are always trying to find that switch that they can get to cut it off from their family. And it's hard to do. Like a friend of mine that's a counselor says, you can lead them to the trough to drink, but you can't make them drink. Yeah. So I think it's more of just getting away from the problems that we have in society and everything. And it's a growing problem. It's a growing problem. One of the things I'd like to see them do is start coming to a lot more meetings and being involved in the county. I just want to say that right off the bat. Whether it's coming to county court or even coming to my committee meeting that I have once a month to see what is going on in your county or with your elected officials or anything that they can. I'd like to see them get involved in some of our committee work, which we have right now in animal control. We've got a great committee, some great people that right now, I wish I had this 13 years ago, that has put forth a lot in it. And some of them a lot of them are citizens where they are becoming involved in it now. They're seeing what the problems are than hearing about the rumors and everything that's going on. So I want them to become involved with it, whether it's the sheriff's department or any other department and everything like that, and know what's going on in your department. Ask questions. I have people call me at home. I have people call me at the office or anywhere and ask me questions. But there should be more questions asked of county officials, you know. And so I think that's becoming more involved in it, and I think I'm seeing a wave of that coming through now. And I'm really glad of that, because only thing that they have is rumors and tales and remarks and all like that, and then they develop whatever out of it. But you know, it's kind of like the thing that has come up about reserve unit in my sheriff's department. A lot of people would be interested in being in that, and I want them to. We did have a reserve unit, but the problem is the training was coming. The training is getting a little bit more to it, and people don't have the time to tie into it. But you know, I want them to be involved with the sheriff's department really a lot if they want to. Well, they'd have to go through a background check and everything. It's just that you walk in and say, I want to be a reserve officer, so, you know, magic wand comes out and you're a reserve officer. You'll have to go through a lot of training, because the state academy oversees reserves. They have some criteria that are tough, and from the word we're getting, it's going to get tougher. It used to be you didn't have to go to any in-service training. Now you have to go to in-service training for a week, which, you know, if we can work around that, we try to do that. But the word is coming down that there's probably going to be either 2 weeks of training and even possibly 3 weeks. But right now we're looking at 2 weeks of training. We get audited on this. We keep records of everything you do, how many hours you work. You can only work so many hours. You have to follow the guidelines of the post commission. So if you're willing to do that, that makes a good officer or a good reserve officer. It makes you understand more of what that officer is going through. Now understand, you won't be put by yourself to drive around in the county. With the liability and our insurance won't let us do that. But you will accompany an officer during that hours of working and all. But it's getting to where now they're putting a lot of that on the officers, but I welcome that. We had several that was reserve officers when I first came in, but as the rules got a little tougher, they had to drop out of it and everything. So we are talking about it now, about restarting it up or putting it out there. I've got some people that are interested and trying to work it out to where they can go to in-service training and all. We put on our own in-service training for them and for our constables. Now, to cut cost, our officers do their training, some of their training, on what they call VIA Academy. And that training is over computer. That way they don't have to travel out of county or anything like that. So it's the cheapest way to go. It costs $100 per officer per year. But that's some of the things that I'd like to see, people getting more involved in it, getting more knowledgeable in it, and then that way they know what that officer is going through, or maybe even the sheriff. Yep. Law enforcement has changed. I'm going to say in the past 10, 15 years, people does not trust law enforcement like they used to when I was growing up. Some of it I probably can understand. Law enforcement's kind of alienated themselves, which we're trying to take a look at that also, my department. But they have become separated from the government, not trusting the government, which law enforcement part of government when you get down to it. I want to see a change in that. I want to see a change in it. But at the same time, I want the public to know what that officer is going through. some of the questions I get is, why did the officer walk up to my car with his hand on his gun? Mm-hmm. Why did the officer stand behind my post of my car, making me look back at him? And the things that people got to understand is that's why the officer was taught that way by the police academy, to protect his life more than anything else. Dixon's had a lot of tragedies. For 1 second, they dropped their guard somehow or some way, and they became a fatality. They became a statistic. And they're trying to, it was at one point, there was 2 officers per week dying in the United States. They want to cut that back, and I want to see it too, but I've seen an increase in it due to the fact that people they just don't trust law enforcement and everything. They're already after them to begin with, whether they're stopping them for speeding or anything like that. And I want to see law enforcement get a good rep as far as that goes about it, and I want more people to understand why does this officer do this. Mm-hmm. A few years ago, I helped promote a drug informant. It was like a school. You went to school on drugs over here at the Centerville Church of Christ. They had a big enough building to put this on. We had probably each session had about 30 people that would attend the class per segment. It was a great thing. They knew what the drugs were by name and what the effects was, because really people are just ignorant on drugs, and I understand. They don't fool with it. They go home, they go to work, they go to eat at the restaurant and all like that. They don't fool with the drugs. And it was I had the 21st Drug Task Force come in and teach that class for several months, and you graduated from it, I want to start that back up. We had it there for several years, and I guess things kind of died off, but we want to reinstate that again. I've been talking about that, to do that too. But in general, people have become just, I want to go home, I want to go to work. I want to go home and I want to go to work. They don't want to become involved in their government, no. I had one guy tell me one time up at the east end of the county, he said, the only time I come to town or go to something, he says, when I pay my taxes, and then it was pay my taxes, it was something else, but it was pay my taxes and I go back home and I never come back again, come back out. And he's right. Some of them don't even read the newspaper anymore, what's going on in their community or what organization, So I've seen that too. I like to see that come back, but it's kind of like I'll give you a good one, Neighborhood Watch Program. Yep. I started Neighborhood Watch Program several years ago. Started out great. And the thing I saw was, and I don't know if you know much about Neighborhood Watch Program. Some. Okay. Once I get it started and get y'all educated in your community, let's say, then it's up to the team captain, let's say I appoint you as team captain, to keep it going. Yeah. If you have a block party with hamburger cooking and all like that, invite me. I'll come in there and, rally around too, and all like that. But they fade out and everything. I've only, out of all of mine, I probably got one that's still pretty active.
And the rest just kind of
fade away. It's hard to keep it rejuvenated, So that's the things I'd like to see come back, really. It really is. But I guess people just think they don't have time, and maybe they don't. I don't know. We created ourselves, and I'm just as guilty. I'll admit it. I'm just as guilty as anybody else. You go home, you're tired, and you're wore out, and gotta get back up at 6 o'clock in the morning. So
it's hard to muster up the energy to.
Yeah, but that group though caught a meth lab in their neighborhood. Yes. And called me, and we made an arrest on it. It was several years ago, because they're a vigilance watching, what was going on. They knew what to look for and all like that. And if a car came in that community, I got tickled. There was an elderly couple lived down to the end of the street. They got in their car and they followed that car if they didn't know it and everything. They stayed with it. I'm telling you, they did. I was proud of them, But they. I go eat hamburgers with them, and we'd discuss things and some new stuff that's coming along and all like that. So,
very good.
Yeah, but that's what I like to see.